When you're ready.
All right.
Okay. Well, it certainly doesn't get any, it's never easy, but it doesn't get any less challenging with Mississippi State coming in. They're playing really, really well. They are outstanding defensively. The physicality, speed, quickness of their guards on the defensive end create a lot of problems. They're very, very good with the ball, probably as good of a group of guards in the ball screen as anybody in the league, or at least they're in that conversation, I guess. Front line wise, they're aggressive. They defend. They give great help to one another. You can see the defensive togetherness that they have. They're really, really good in transition. They can be a blur at times with the way they can get the ball up the court. And when you got multiple ball handlers, multiple decision makers like that, it makes it a real challenge. So the biggest thing for us is we've got to make sure that we are guarding that paint even better than what we have. It's a huge emphasis because when they get in the paint, they not only create at the rim, but they do a great job of kicking out, and they have a lot of three-point shooters. So Coach Holland's done a fantastic job there. I have not competed against him since he was at Pittsburgh and I was at Marquette in the 2003 Sweet 16 in Minneapolis. We had an incredible battle on a Thursday night in the old Metrodome, but I've got a ton of respect for him, a ton of respect. I've gotten to know him better and better, but I've always had a huge respect for him, even going back to when he was head coach at Northern Arizona. So to me, he's one of the outstanding coaches in the game. We both lived some environments, with what he did at UCLA, what we had at Indiana, and he was able to be in that type of environment and win at a very, very high level. And there's no question that they play with his personality of toughness, tenacity, aggressiveness. And if anything, they're playing faster than what I ever remember his teams playing. So it is going to be a tremendous battle. We're looking forward to it. It's a Wednesday night. We haven't had a Wednesday night, a weeknight game in a long time. So we're looking forward to a great crowd. We need our students. We need people here. It's a 6:30 start, so hopefully we'll get the kind of crowd we need to be able to compete in this game.
Commissioner Sankey, the SEC was kind of an initiative to improve overall basketball in the league. You've obviously seen a lot of good basketball
Sure.
in your years. What's been your view now that you're just about through a whole season of it?
Well, that's been coming up actually this week in question-wise. It is. Here's how I would judge it, and not having gone through the whole league yet, but the margin for error is slim for everybody because the teams are so good that if you make a mistake, if you make a defensive mistake, if you have one person out of position, this league more often than not makes you pay for it. So it's not like you make a mistake and they miss, or it's not like you make a mistake and they didn't see it. They capitalize on it, and that's a sign of excellent coaching. It's a sign of really good players, both in the backcourt and in the front court. There's depth in this league. I think the thing that not only, the thing to me, I've never been in a league that combines this level of speed with rebounding, right? I mean, I've been in some situations where people might be a little more half-court oriented, and they're really, really good rebounding teams. And I've been in good rebounding leagues, but not one that is like this from top to bottom. And it just shows the ability that so many people have. And then the other thing I think that's a separator in this league, as far as my opinion, these are just strictly my opinion, is the number of guys that can get their own shot. Whether they're in the backcourt, whether they're in the front court, it is amazing. I mean, there's so few places that you can think you're going to catch a break on somebody, or you think you can move off somebody, because you have to be so concerned about how many guys with the ball can go create a shot, which in turn creates offensive rebound opportunities and in turn creates kickouts. So you've got to be so locked into each possession, and I think that's one of the biggest things, or those are some of the biggest things of why it's such a great league.
When you talk about players that can create their own shot, what is the key to guarding guys like Lamar Peters and Weatherspoon?
We can't get extended. They want you to chase them around the court because they're so good, they're so quick. And Lamar Peters is so good. He's left-handed, but he's so lethal going from his left to his right on a crossover. And Quadri Witherspoon, Tyson Carter, if Nick plays, Nick Witherspoon, those guys are all really, really good with the ball. And they can make shots. So it's one thing, there's a lot of multifaceted players in this league. Mississippi State's got as many as anybody because their guys can do so many different things. So I think it's that, and it's making sure that we're very, very cognizant, not only in transition, but when that shot goes up, to make sure we're getting 5 guys in the painted area for rebounding.
Tom, with your first full recruiting cycle now, with I guess 2 signed, 1 committed, are there certain characteristics you're looking for your system here?
Absolutely. I think versatility, skill, there's no question about that. We want to get, big thing that I've always thought about in recruiting is getting year-round winners. People that they not only win in high school, but they win in the AAU and vice versa. And if they didn't win in a certain environment, why? And really look at that. And that's the same thing with multiple sport players. People that have an interest in multiple sports or have played multiple sports. Did they win, right? Because you bring that competitive nature, that grit to it, and I think it's such a huge thing. But again, for us, we really, and I think we did this with our first two signees, we want to really address upside. What is the upside of people? And not only where are they today, but where are they going to be? And then keep looking as much as we can for the people that have not only that high level of competitiveness, but that level of awareness. And at the same time, they want to be great. Now, if you want to be great, then we're not going to have trouble with you making sure that you're getting to class on time, or that you're getting your work done in study hall, or that you're putting your best effort into the class. We're not going to have to worry about your social life, because if you want to be great, all right, you're going to get over the distractions that can get inside of you real quick. And I think that's really important as we move forward in recruiting is you want people that understand, if I'm going to be really good at basketball and I've got this passion for it, I've got to be really strong in every other area of my life. And that's what we're really trying to judge and work on and learn about and get a real feel for in our recruiting.
Coach Turtle was mentioning that you emphasize making the extra pass and something that gets assist numbers up and things like that. Have you seen that improve over the course of the year?
I think the extra pass has. Yeah, I think moving without the ball has. But again, there's still times when the pressure comes where we struggle with that, and we try to make a play rather than, we say a lot, okay? Don't drive into a crowd and try to make a play. Draw a crowd and make a pass, right? Draw the crowd and make the pass. Like, that's something that Mississippi State is tremendous at. And I think that's what you want out of your backcourt. That's what you want out of your front court, especially with how many bigger guys are handling the ball for us. So it's improved, but it's got a ways to go.
And when you look at assist, how much do you look at that stat specifically as a barometer of you don't?
No, I don't. I don't look at assists as much because we're going to drive the ball a lot. I really don't. And it's an important stat if you're really making threes, right? But for me, it's the movement, it's the cutting without the ball, it's the ability to make a play. Now, I've had teams that I really judged it on because we were so good at shooting the ball and our spacing was so good. You wanted to drive it into the paint to make sure you got that kick. But right now, we got to find ways to score. Right, we've got to find ways to cut, score, space, get to the rim, and we got to have a multitude of ways to do it because we're not as good being able to create our own shot without it being a tough shot, right? And that's something that we try to work on constantly. But again, I'm more interested in, are we making the next pass than did that shot necessarily go in for the assist.
Saturday, you talked a little about how quality performance and practice finally translated into a game. Has practice been good the past few days?
Oh, well, we didn't practice Sunday, but it was outstanding yesterday. I mean, absolutely outstanding. And we've had very good practices, but yesterday was high level of competitiveness. We won't do nearly as much today. But it's been good. And when they start to realize that they can bring that more consistently, because that's really been the measure of our team. With the exception of Texas A&M, I didn't think we were as aggressive in that game. The zone slowed us down a little bit. We weren't as aggressive. And there were times in Ole Miss and South Carolina where we got our head down, especially in Ole Miss. But for the most part, it's been just a couple of things that have really tripped us up in games. And I know the score has not always agreed with that, what I'm saying, but that's really what it's been. And I think the bottom line for us is when we play and understand that even when it's not going well, if we stay consistent with our spirit, if we stay consistent with our talk on defense, which has been an issue, if we stay consistent with our rebounding, if we stay consistent with moving the ball, good things are going to happen for us. And sometimes we get down on that, and our confidence doesn't carry over like it should. But the other day it did, and we just fell a little bit short at the end with that.
Do you attend weightlifting sessions, and did they have that a lot during the
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. They'll do it after practice today because it's a little bit earlier day, and we have to really we move our times around a lot based on certain classes, for guys, especially the seniors right now. So we'll lift after practice today. But certainly we work on strength conditioning, and there's a conditioning component to our practice, but we work on strength all throughout the season.
Do you like their performance in there compared to your past teams?
I don't judge it like that. I think it's it's different people. Different people. There's different spirits that come from that. This time of year, it's a lot more about going in there, getting your job done, working, you're trying to get stronger. It's not about the level of competition in the weight room. It's not about maxing out or those type of things. So I'm not unhappy with it. But I think anything you do, no matter what it is, and I alluded to this earlier with the recruiting, you have got to be all in on it. I mean, you've got to understand the value of all of it. When we say, it sounds so corny and it sounds like a statement or it sounds like a sign, but it's really a way of life. Everything matters. So when you're in that weight room, you got to put, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it is, you got to put your best to that. But again, this time of year, we're not trying to wear people out in that area. We're just trying to get stronger and maintain our strength.
How much of a focus is getting strength and weight on Nick Claxton?
Oh, absolutely. And then that's where that nutrition. But I'll give you another example. Okay, this is part of it. We have everything possible here. And I'm not just using this as Nick as an example, but we certainly have to get him stronger. But we have everything imaginable. You guys cover football. You see those sports. We have everything imaginable you could want, nutrition-wise, hydration-wise, all those types of things. You got to carry it out, right? It's all here. I mean, so how you eat, the hydration. Now, I'll say this. I look out that window once in a while or see Nick leaving. I see Nick carrying that 2-gallon jug of water with him. And I'll send pictures every time one of my former guys gets a picture taken with him, getting on an airplane or walking in an arena, and they've got that jug of water. I'll send it. It works, right? It works. And you've got to keep putting that on. You've got to keep replenishing. But not everybody understands that. I've gone through that locker room at times in the past, and I've taken 4 or 5 jugs out of a locker that somebody didn't use. It all matters. And when you're building your program, no matter how you want it to be, right? Because every coach has a different way they want to build it. Whatever that is, you got to make sure you're doing everything you can do to get that standard met. But sometimes guys aren't going to understand that, and that's where the education process keeps coming. But that's when you have real competition inside of a team, and they understand, boy, I got to be on top of this, because if I'm not on top of this, I may not play as much. If I'm not on top of everything that I'm doing, I could lose some minutes. And we don't necessarily have that. We have a lot of guys. We don't necessarily have that all-out, full-throttle competition for minutes every day, and I think some of that plays into it, when you're building the program. But that's a 365-day-a-year thing. You're running your program 365 days a year. Nutrition, hydration, and how you gain strength and weight are a big part of that as well. And the same thing for somebody that would need to lose weight.
Talk about the importance, sorry. How strict are you on doing nutrition? Can they go to Chick-fil-A every day?
How strict am I? Strict is a tough word, because it's not a 24/7. We're not with them 24 hours, 7 days a week. I can't. I go to Chick-fil-A, right? Like I'm not stopping somebody from doing that. What you want to try to do is get them to understand the value of everything they're doing, what they put in their body when, a lot of times. You try to. You can be mad about everything if you want to be, right? And you can find something to poke at all the time. That's not how you coach and make people better. You try to educate them, you try to help them the best that you can, you try to provide it, and then hopefully the light bulb goes on, like, this really matters, right? This really matters. And in these power schools, and Georgia's a great example of this, everything is here for them to succeed. You have to take advantage of it, though. You have to take advantage of it, and that becomes somewhat of an individual. I've never sat somebody down because they didn't drink water, right? But they have lost time because their body couldn't keep up with it, where somebody else's body was able to keep up with it. It's part of it.
What are some of the things you're looking for with growth and development of Ty Fagan and the freshman guard?
I think Ty's a great example of bringing his practice game more to the court, and playing faster, okay? Better defensively. That's a huge thing for Ty, because there's times in practice he's really, really good with that. And there's been times in games. But going out and really playing with confidence defensively, okay? You miss a shot, okay, maybe your confidence drops for a second. You turn it over, maybe your confidence drops for a second. But it can't drop on defense. It can't drop on defense. It can't drop on the glass. But I think continuing for Ty's shot to continue to develop, continue for him to be that Swiss Army knife that can find different ways to get to the rim, that can get layups, that can drive and cut, and playing faster and making maybe better decisions with the ball, but then really, really continuing to understand how good he can be defensively.
I was asking about Ignis also.
Ignis needs to play faster, all right? He needs to be consistent with his shooting, which he's been, but he needs to play faster. And I think defensively is a big situation there, being able to really get down and guard the ball. But that's part of it. Playing with a better first step. Delivering the ball, just playing faster, coming up a ball screen and attacking and looking to make the play. And what happens with young guys a lot of times, they get tentative. But we've got to get quicker and faster in those places. And some of it's athletic training, some of it's strength training, but some of it's just mindset and how they play. But playing faster without the turnovers, right? But being able to play faster and cut and move, those are bigger things. Everybody? Good?
Thanks.
All right. See you. Thank you.